Welcome to Dadograms, where I teach through stories. And in today's teaching, I'm going to tell you another real life story from my past. But this one is something I did that was so stupid, I'll flush with embarrassment to even tell you about it. But you need to hear it so you can learn. Now, you may notice in my Dadograms, I'm pretty candid about my wins and my losses in life. You may be shocked that I would reveal them to you, especially to a bunch of strangers. After all, people do not like to talk about their mistakes in public. But there's a reason that I do. I was a naval officer and a pilot for over 28 years. And as a Navy pilot, we, all of us, do something shocking. If we screw up, if we make a mistake, if we damage an aircraft or a person, or just have a close call, we confess it in public to each other. We even have a magazine called Approach, where we write out our mistakes in story form for others to learn from. There's no shame in this, even though it can be very, very uncomfortable to do. That's the culture of aviation, to tell what happens so that others can avoid the same mistakes. We learn from each other. That's how we become better and better at the difficult things we do every single day. So don't judge. I don't care if that's the way I teach. And today I'm talking about a terrible mistake that I made a long, long time ago when I was 18 years old, and it has cost me so much, so that you can learn from it and hopefully avoid the same mistake. Make sense? If so, let's continue. Now, for those that don't know me, I'm Jason M. Garrett, a retired Navy commander and pilot. I'm also a dad who started Dadograms in order to continue to teach my children how to win in life. And each and every one of you are invited in as well. Now, this story happened more than 34 years ago, but I can remember it just like yesterday. An annual dental checkup like none I'd ever had before or since. I was laying uncomfortably in the dental chair with my mouth wide open as the dentist thrust stainless steel tools into my mouth. In one hand, he was positioning a small circular mirror. In the other, he was gripping a shiny pick with a hook at the end. And for what seemed like an eternity, he'd been doing the same thing. He'd slide that hook between two teeth, then he'd start pulling, tentatively at first, then with increasing force until the hook popped out from between my teeth with a jolting suddenness. Now, I could sense in his every action that he was frustrated or irritated, and I could tell he wasn't the least bit concerned with my comfort. And that's not a good thing for a dental patient to be experiencing, I can tell you that. The exam seemed to stretch on forever, and I was getting tired of holding my mouth open. I only got the occasional quick rest when he'd pull those tools out of my mouth and spin around on his stool to stare intensely at my x-rays. He'd take a quick glance, then whirl around again, ready to look at another part of my mouth. It was a terribly long exam, longer than any I had ever had before. Finally, thankfully, he was done. He pulled his tools back for the last time, and it was over. Exam complete. I shut my mouth to give it a final long rest, thankful I wouldn't have to go through that hours-long hell again for at least another year. A moment passed before he pushed back and tossed his tools on the tray. He took off his glasses, pulled down his mask around his neck, and gave me the death stare. I can still remember the stern look on his face, his lips pressed together, his eyes as hard as flint. Not a happy dentist. Then he spoke, his words hard and firm, and he said, "I don't know what in the hell you've done since your last checkup, but you've got 10 cavities. 10. Then he told me that every one of those 10 cavities were between my teeth. Apparently, I even had one in between the top front teeth, and he said that he'd never even heard of that, much less seen it in his entire career. I tell you, I was having to really struggle to get my mind around the idea of 10 cavities. I honestly hadn't had a single cavity in the last 10 years, and now 10 all of a sudden in 1 year? This was not good. He went on to tell me that it would take him probably close to 2 solid days to be able to fix them all. 2 days in a dental chair. Then he looked at me and said bluntly, "You're not going to like the experience one bit. I guarantee that." Well, that was just great. Just what you don't want to hear from a dentist. I could already feel my jaws cramping up just thinking about it. And just 1 short week later, thinking became reality. I found myself laying uncomfortably in his dental chair again, this time for a really, really long time. Instead of an hour of forcing my jaw open while he plucked at my teeth with a hook, it was an entire day and half of the next day of injections, of drilling, of suctioning, of sanding, and just laying there immobile with my mouth propped open. For 1.5 working days, I laid there washing his blue gloves, manipulating stainless steel tools in my mouth. To me, it was the seventh ring of Dante's hell. It's something I never want to repeat, and my hope is that by telling you the rest of the story, you can learn from my experiences and avoid a similar misfortune from ever happening to you. You see, I did it to myself. I caused those cavities, and at the time, I didn't know I was doing it. So let's understand what caused me to have 10 cavities, shall we? It all happened during the summer between my senior year in high school and my freshman year in college. Yes, all of that tooth decay happened in only 3 months or so. Here's how. As soon as I graduated from high school, I started working full-time as a supervisor at a local pizza place called Gambino's Pizza. Awesome pizza, by the way. If you ever get a shot, go have some. Now, the plan working at Gambino's was to save up money to get through my freshman year of college. That way I wouldn't have to work while I was studying. One of the perks of my job, besides free pizza, was free soft drinks. Yes, that's right. All the Coca-Cola I could guzzle at work. And let me tell you, guzzle I did. My parents didn't allow soft drinks in the house when I was growing up, so to have unfettered access to an endless supply of sugary drinks was a total thrill for me. And just let me tell you how much of that sugary goodness I drank on the job. I drank at least 1 glass an hour during each shift, pretty much 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. At least that much. And what's worse, while I had been trained by my mother to brush my teeth twice a day, and I did, the lesson on flossing had somehow been missed or perhaps ignored by me. I didn't floss. Ever. And that's why my teeth were rotten in between. Obviously, without flossing, sugar stayed nice and protected between the teeth where it fed bacteria that lived in my mouth. And just in case you're grossed out by that, all of us, including you, have bacteria in your mouth. Now, that thriving bacteria in my mouth created an acid that ultimately ate away my precious enamel, leaving behind holes that my dentist had to fill with metal, or in the case of my front teeth, an enamel-colored amalgam. I learned my lesson from experience, or I guess I should say I learned several lessons. First, I learned that sugary drinks rot your teeth. Yeah, sure. I've heard that before, but there's nothing quite like having it happen to really drive home the point. Second, I learned that soft drinks have their own acid already in them. Specifically, they have phosphoric acid or citric acid. If you don't believe me, read the labels. That acid eats away at your teeth too. If you've ever drank a soda and felt that fuzzy feeling on your teeth afterwards, guess what? That's the acid eating away the top layer of your enamel. Not good. Of course, the most obvious lesson was that I needed to floss daily. If I had done that, I might have only had a few cavities, or perhaps none. I simply didn't know, but now I do. But here's another hard lesson I had to work out for myself over the next 25 years or so since I got those cavities. When you have a filling, much less 10 or more like me, then your time in the dental chair over the preceding decades can better be counted in days or weeks instead of hours. Where there's a filling, there is a vulnerability that will require repair or replacement of any leaking fillings. A leaking filling is where a gap forms between the filling and the tooth, and decay once again gets started in that area and needs to be corrected. That's right, folks. More injections, more grinding away your tooth, more fillings, more everything, year after year. And as an extra bonus, there will come a time when there won't be enough tooth left to work with. That's when they have to go in and remove the root and the pulp, called a root canal. And then, once the tooth is truly dead, they'll grind it all the way down and put a cap on it. And do you know what happened to me on my last 6 weeks on active duty in the Navy? The dentist told me, it's time. It was time for 3 of my teeth to be capped. So, if you see me talking in a Dadogram from time to time and you notice a flash of gold in my mouth, either side, take your pick, those are gold caps that they say will last me a lifetime. And I really hope that they do. Now, those caps should have, or would have, happened a long time ago, but I was able to radically slow down the leaking of my fillings in the last decade or so. A smart dentist made a suggestion about flossing that helped me a lot. It's another one of those fantastic lessons that I want to share with each and every one of you. If you follow this, you may never get a cavity or another cavity ever again. I know it slowed down the problems I had in my mouth for years. It's simple. Floss with toothpaste. Huh? Now, just to make this simple, let me write this all out in true aviator style. I've written it in a checklist format, just like a Navy pilot would use. Here's what you need to do to take care of your teeth for the rest of your life. In the morning, brush your teeth. A minimum of 2 minutes with a good toothpaste with fluoride. Spit out your toothpaste, but do not rinse. Do not eat or drink for up to 30 minutes if possible. This allows the fluoride to really work to harden your enamel. Throughout the rest of the day, moderate, not necessarily eliminate, your sugar intake throughout the day. Less sugar is better in so many ways, but today we're just talking about your teeth. If you can get rid of most sugar, you'll be in a much better situation. In the evening, before bed, brush your teeth. Minimum of 2 minutes with good toothpaste with fluoride. When finished brushing, do not spit the toothpaste out. Keep it in your mouth. Floss. Floss with the toothpaste still in your mouth. This will remove the sugar from between your teeth. It will force toothpaste with fluoride between your teeth, and it will keep the fluoride in the toothpaste on your teeth for an additional amount of time. It may be messy. Trust me, it is actually messy, but it definitely is worth it. When flossing is complete, spit out the toothpaste. Do not rinse with water. In fact, don't eat or drink anything again until you wake up in the morning. This keeps the fluoride on your teeth and helps protect them longer. And finally, see a dentist annually. Get into the habit. I know a lot of people are scared of the dentist, but if you skip appointments by the time you realize that you really need one and have to go in for some serious dental work, I guarantee you'll have a real reason to be scared of the dentist. But still, you have to go. So be an adult and get it done. If you follow these steps religiously for the rest of your life, you will increase your likelihood of preventing cavities in your future. I used to have 1 or 2 leaking cavities every year at my checkups. And then, of course, all that repair work. But once I added the flossing with toothpaste concept, I was able to go for several years at a time without a leaking filling. It was only at the end, before retirement, that we were at a point where we just couldn't go any longer and I had to get those caps. All in all, it wasn't perfect. That would have been having prevented any cavities in the first place. But it was quite an improvement. And I hope the same process works for you. As I start to wrap this up, here's one more thing. I know I'm not the only young adult out there who didn't know how it all worked or how bad it could get. Let me prove it to you. From 2015 through 2017, I had the privilege of serving as a safety department head on board the USS Nimitz, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Of the 5,000 sailors or so that we have on board while we're underway, the average age of all those sailors is only 19 and a half years old. A lot of really young folks on board. And in that job, I had the opportunity to get to know the head dentist, as he was a fellow department head. And our dentist would often complain that kids these days didn't even know how to brush their teeth. He would say that they have so much plaque built up on their teeth that it looks like they just ate buttered popcorn or something. It's like their parents didn't bother teaching them how to brush their teeth. And I tell you, listening to his real-life dental stories during lunch, well, it definitely ruined your appetite more often than not. But you know what? It illustrated the point well. All of us need to do better taking care of our teeth. While the dentist was often irritated at the universal failure among our sailors to maintain proper oral hygiene, I was surprised at how serious our dentists in the Navy took their job at keeping everyone's teeth perfect. Even more surprising was how serious the entire naval force took the concept of dental readiness. Making sure everyone's teeth were perfectly maintained is a very high priority in the Navy. Because like they say in naval dentistry, you can't fight if you can't bite. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I got for you. Please use my checklist as a starting place to improve your oral hygiene and avoid the mistakes I made when I was so young. Protect your choppers. After all, your teeth really do need to last a lifetime. Now, if you want to keep learning life's lessons like this that are timeless and will help you in life, subscribe to this channel and go back and watch an old Dadogram. Unlike a lot of YouTube videos that tell you what to think based on something that happened in the news last week, all of these lessons are timeless. So until next time, protect your choppers and win in life. Thank you.